no fridge, no constant electricity, and you are using insulin, this is not just inconvenient, it can be very, very life threatening. But I've come here with some good news. And the truth is that you can actually still store your insulin safely if you know what to do. My core message today is in many low and medium income country setting, insulin doesn't just fail because it's unavailable. It fails most times because it is stored incorrectly. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty of how insulin is denatured and made inactive. In countries with very high temperatures as high as 30 degrees centigrade, or too much direct sunlight, or even possibly freezing rather than just keeping your insulin in the fridge, all these factors can actually denature and make your insulin inactive. Now, let's look at the common signs that actually tell you that the insulin has become inactive or it's denatured. Cloudy when it shouldn't be. So when you look at your insulin vial and it's very cloudy, then you know something is wrong. Or you look at your vial and you can see clumps or particles floating around, then you know the insulin is denatured and it's going to be inactive. And another point to note is you're ticking the same boxes that you've been ticking before, and you still find out that your blood sugars are still going higher and higher, even with you not doing anything differently, then that is a trigger for you to know that there's something wrong with your insulin. Now, let's look at solutions that we can actually use in a low and medium income setting. The first one is the clay pot. We call this pot-in-pot cooling system. So what you do in this situation, clay pots are quite inexpensive. You can get a clay pot, fill it up with sand, fine sand from the riverbank. Just if you can get very fine sand, fill it up into the clay pot. And what you can do is create a hole in the middle, like make a dam in the middle that can sit another small container in. And then you go ahead and put water in that clay pot so that the sand is wet. So you put your insulin in a small container and put it inside the clay pot containing the wet sand. Then the next thing to do is get a cloth, put it in water, make sure the cloth is damp. Then you use that to cover the clay pot. So when sunlight interacts with the damp cloth, evaporation occurs, and this evaporation now helps to cool your insulin in the pot. Then secondly, if you don't have that available, you could get a towel or a very thick cloth. Just get it damp, put your insulin in and wrap it up and put it in a shaded area, preferably under your bed on bare cemented floor, and keep it away from any metal surfaces. So that will also help keep your insulin cool. And a very important point to note, if you're traveling with your insulin, please make sure it is well kept in a cooler. And like I always say, you get a towel, wrap it up, a wet towel or a damp towel, wrap it up on your insulin vials, then get some frozen packs of water and put in a food cooler and put your insulin there. So that keeps it in a very nice temperature and it won't denature. And avoid leaving your insulin in the car. Always carry your insulin on your person as best and as much as you can. Honestly, where I come from, we don't always have that perfect power system, but we still need to survive. So that is why I am here giving you this kind of knowledge that could save lives My call to action today is share this with someone who uses insulin in a low and medium income setting or in an area with imperfect power supply. You can save a life today. And I want to say a big thank you for watching. And this is me blowing reality-based diabetes education your way. And this is me paying it forward from my lived experience. Thank you.